before we do get our first guest up here, the first thing I want to ask out of every single one of you guys is to double tap on that goddamn phone screen. I want to see those likes skyrocket. Same thing with the shares. Share this live out with a couple friends. If you don't have friends, don't worry. All you got to do is copy that link and make sure to spam that comment section as well. I want to see how you guys feel about this topic. Drop a smiley face in that chat with this quick poll if you like it, a sad face if you don't. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and move on to our first guest of the night. Keep in mind, if we're in the guest request, make sure you think that it is wrong to be a lesbian over the age of 18. Thank you for that, a mustache. What is up, Robin? Do you think that being a lesbian is wrong?
Hello, friend. Yes, I do think it's wrong.
All right. So why so, Mr. Robin?
Because if your parents, Dean, were lesbian, you wouldn't exist.
And that's why it's wrong. Chat, are we ready? Are we ready for the first dunk of the evening? I want the 1.1 thousand people in here right now to get hyped the fuck up. Let's get amped for the first dunk of the evening. I didn't know that it would come so damn fast.
Huh?
So you specifically said that being a lesbian was wrong because if both my parents were lesbian, I wouldn't be here. Hey, sir, is being infertile wrong?
Is being infertile wrong? Being infertile is a genetic abnormality and does not relate to the topic.
I'll ask you again. It does relate to the topic.
No,
you don't think it's wrong.
Nope.
If both my parents were infertile, would I be here?
No.
And that is a logical contradiction. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get some Dean W's in the chat. First guest of the night. Woo!
Also, brother man, being lesbian is a choice.
Okay, so Robin, no, it's not actually.
It really is though.
No, so first of all, TikTok really doesn't like this argument, so they may take me down for it. But I guess I'll just go ahead and explore a little bit of the nuance on this point. So we have like these awesome institutions of science, such as the Netherlands Institute for Brain Research or the Center for Neurodoctrine Studies at the University of Pittsburgh and/or Massachusetts. And basically, all of these institutions of science have studied the literal brains of gay men and compared them to the brains of straight men. And you want to know what they found, Robin? There's very clear and distinct neuroanatomical differences. For one, gay men have a larger anterior commissure, right? Gay men have varying traits of the AI. It's a nerve lining between the hemispheres of the brain. GAY men have different traits of the AI NAH3 subsection of the hypothalamus. GAY men also have different associations along the genetic code, such as in the XQ23 chromosome. So how the fuck can you posit that it's a conscious decision when it is purely biologically driven off of these natural anatomical dispositions?
So you're telling me because a part of your brain is bigger, that being gay is a choice?
So don't say GAY, say lesbian.
Oh, sorry.
And I'm specifically saying that this would demonstrate how they're not a choice. So I'm not making the argument that like people are lesbian or are GAY because of these genetic dispositions. I'm merely making the argument that in order to have these attractions, it's also necessary that you have these varied components of one's neuroanatomy, right? So you can't just consciously decide to change the shape and form of your brain. So therefore, we know that it is not a choice.
So you're telling me that they did the study on all homosexual people or just GAY men?
On GAY men.
And they found these commonalities between all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I find that hard to believe. You're going to have to show me the study on that one.
Yeah, just go ahead and look up the Netherlands Institute of Brain Research. You could also look up the XQ23 chromosome, look up GAY men anterior commissure, just look up the keywords and you'll be able to find them. I could also post the sources in my Discord. But hey, one last question, man. Can you choose to get aroused right now by me?
Never. But hold on, hold on.
Wait!
I can explain to you why it's not a choice, though.
Wait, Robin, I thought it was a choice, though. And if you're saying that you can't choose that, that's a contradiction.
By you, specifically?
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to, yeah.
Wait, can you choose to want to?
Can I choose to want to find you attractive or aroused?
Mm-hmm.
To get aroused by you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course I can.
Okay, so in other words, you could choose to get aroused by me right now?
Yeah, of course.
Hey, yeah, what about buy a chicken?
Hey, bro, to each his own.
No, I'm asking, can you do that?
Me specifically, I wouldn't, but some people.
Damn! So you don't draw your line at me, but you draw the line at a chicken? Sir, the
No,
closet is
no.
glass. The closet is glass, ladies and gentlemen. The closet is glass. We're going to go to move on to our next guest. Guys, by the way, everyone, make sure to go drop a like on my recent video. I responded to Brooks as well as I gave my official thoughts and takeaways from the debate I had with him. If you're interested in hearing how things went, go watch that video. What is up, Lucid Dreams? Do you think that being a lesbian is wrong?
No, I just want to get on here and say, stop saying it's a fucking choice, you bitches. It's not a choice, y'all. You gotta stop.
W guest, based. All right, moving on to our next guest, but based. Let's get some W's. Let's get some W's. Let's get some W's in that chat. What's up? Do you think that being a lesbian is wrong, sir? All right, and he automatically left. Moving on to our next guest, Jared. Everyone, just allow us a moment. We're gonna go and get Jared up here, guys. Just give us a minute. What's up, Jared? Do you think that being a lesbian is wrong?
Yes, I do.
All right, why so?
So,
I feel like you're a scripture type of guy. Are you a Christian?
yes, I am, but this is non-scripture based.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and get the argument.
So, I would like to open up with some questions. I would just like to ask, do you think there is a lot of hate towards people that are gay or lesbian?
Okay, don't say the word J-Y. Only
Sorry.
say the word lesbian. And yes, I do.
Okay, but is it really that, is it that bad?
Yes, it is.
Okay, is it that bad to the point where it could harm them physically?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then if it is that extremely bad, why then would you want people to be lesbian, which is creating a system where they could put themselves at harm just so that they can, so that they could fulfill their pleasures?
Why would you want people to be lesbian? I don't even know what you mean when you say want to be lesbian. People can't choose these things. Like,
Right.
Why would I want people to have blue eyes? People
No,
just simply
they
do
can't
have
choose.
blue eyes. And then
They can't
also,
choose.
if you're making the argument that it is somehow wrong to do this because of the fact, AJ, I appreciate you for the raid, brother, that there exists a lot of social pressures and scrutiny against being a lesbian, well, then I'll just simply ask you another thing, right?
Okay.
What about being a woman as a whole, right? In the context of the Middle East, women have half the rights that men have in particular
Right.
countries. Added on here, they in Afghanistan, women cannot go to school past 6th grade. In some of those countries that operate under the Sharia law, it is much more socially advantageous to be a man.
Yeah.
Would you make the argument that it's wrong to be a woman in those countries?
Yeah, but the thing is, in terms of being a woman, is very identifiable when you make
What?
when you make GAY choices compared to being a woman, because a woman is much more identifiable. But you can make active choices where you are not being GAY or where it is not noticeable unless someone is to ask you. But to put that out there and to be very transparent about it is an active choice you're making, but that is something that is completely harmful if we agree with the first premise that being gay.
Joshi, thank you for the splashy. I appreciate you for the love. Let's get a W, Joshi, in that comment section. Thank you so much for the splashy, brother. It's so good to see you. Massive W, Joshi, in that comment section. So just to make sure, you're essentially making the argument that lesbian women can essentially hide the fact that they're lesbian by not acting upon those desires.
Yes.
So therefore, they shouldn't act upon those desires.
Yes, they should.
Okay, so hey, here's my counter argument. Rosa Parks could have, prevented her social persecution by just simply sitting at the back of the bus. Would this be enough reason for you to say she should have sat at the back of the bus?
Damn, that's a fair point. Very fair point. I agree. All right, thank you.
Yeah, have a good one, man. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next guest here, chat. Y'all, I'm not sure that we're sending out, but we're going to just continue to try to have our debates here. If y'all want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio here, guys. What's up, El Chapo? How old are you?
24, buddy.
Sweet, buddy. Do you think that being a lesbian is wrong, buddy?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? It's unnatural, I think.
Okay, is it unnatural for you to be on your phone talking to me over a fucking app right now?
Man. What? Fucking app, yeah.
Okay, so are you doing something wrong right now?
Me? I'm not jacking off, if that's what you're asking.
That's actually not what I'm asking at all. You said it's unnatural for you to be on your phone and to be talking to me over TikTok right now. Are you doing something wrong by engaging in this unnatural activity?
Nah, I'm not.
Okay. So I don't think that being a lesbian is unnatural, but even if it were to be unnatural, given your response to my last question, this wouldn't strictly entail that it's therefore morally wrong. So your point is kind of mute here. Do you have like another argument? We should just take that one, crumple it up in a ball, and throw it out a window. Like in all honesty, it's kind of shit.
Boy, what was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
you said unnatural, therefore wrong, but then you didn't hold the same logic when I asked you about, you talking to me over your synthetic ass iPhone connected to the unnatural ass internet on an app developed by humans. That is so fucking unnatural. I don't even know where to start, but you don't think it's morally wrong. So this whole logic of unnatural, therefore wrong, just fell to bits and pieces.
So yeah, I get you. So now, with the appeal to ridicule, you can just close that down. Yeah, all good.
Is there any other argument that you wanted to give me, sir?
Yeah, there's a reason why lesbians being lesbian is wrong too.
And what's the reason?
Says in the Quran.
Oh, hey, in the Quran. Okay, you're Muslim. How old was Aisha when she married Muhammad?
She was 6.
So, just to make sure here, 2 adult women holding hands sexually is wrong in all cases, but then like a 40, 50-year-old man marrying a 6-year-old just was totally fine.
No, you see, he married her at 6, and
I didn't consummate until she was 9. That doesn't do anything for your argument.
and you gotta read the hadiths, brother.
Yeah, you really got to read them. Hear all about how she
Yeah.
was raped by an old man. Really just got to read it.
It's a beautiful book. You gotta read it.
Wait, you think a book that details a 9-year-old girl getting raped by an old man is beautiful? But then at the same time, 2 adult women holding hands sexually, that's like detestable.
No.
You're all over the place, man.
Listen, the Quran is such a beautiful book. You won't get anything like it.
Hey, do you think that like ethnic cleansing is always wrong?
Ethnic cleansing. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Oh, so
Right.
let me get this straight. P-radiophilia was completely fine when we're talking about Muhammad, and ethnic cleansing, aka genocide, is not always wrong. Wait, Muhammad owned slaves, so you don't think owning slaves was wrong, at least
come
in that
on.
context.
on, you
But
have
but then
workers,
like
not
2
slaves.
women, but then 2 women holding hands sexually. Now that
Don't
definitely is
you-
wrong in all
don't
scenarios.
you talk over me. You talk
Are
over
you
me.
are you trolling?
I'm not trolling. Not trolling.
He's trolling. We're going to go to move on to our next guest. Guys, if we're in those guest requests specifically, make sure that we do think that being a lesbian's wrong here. Also, y'all make sure to share out this live with a couple friends here tonight. I don't know why we are not setting out, but we are not going to do a restart. We're just going to hold on to what we got. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest, Arrow MM, has to say here, chat. Let's try to get up to 100,000 likes as well. What's going on, Arrow? Do you think that being a lesbian is wrong?
Yeah.
All right, why so?
Personally, I believe that sexuality was created for a purpose. If it wasn't created for a purpose, then really,
Okay, so you believe in God, right?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, which God?
Christian God.
Awesome. Do you think that ethnic cleansing is always wrong?
Yes.
Okay, so you think that God commanded something wrong when he told Saul to ethnically cleanse the Amalekites in 1 Samuel 15:3?
Well, I gotta do some research on that.
Okay, well, I could read it out to you. He said, "Now go and smite the Amalekites and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but destroy man, woman, infant, suckling, camel, and ox, and donkey." That's ethnic cleansing by definition, so...
The Amalekites and all that. Yeah, no, God had a reason to do that. Regardless, even if he didn't, outside of everything bad that they did, God created them, so he owns them. He created humans. He created literally everything, so he can take it out of existence and into existence. Regardless,
Yeah.
even in the Christian Bible,
Yeah, man.
death is not the end of existence.
Do you think it's justified? Got it. So this just means that you don't always think that ethnic cleansing is wrong. I mean, we're literally talking about a scenario where you don't think it's wrong right now. So based upon your logic, ethnic cleansing's not always wrong, but 2 women holding hands sexually is. What about another point? Is slavery always wrong?
Yes.
So then you disagree with God when he tells the Israelites that they could own non-Israelites as human property for the rest of their life in Leviticus 25 verses 44 through 46.
He didn't say it as property. Regardless, obviously Moses came to free the slaves because Jesus thought and God thought that slavery was not right.
Well, slow down, brother. You're talking about the Exodus. And the next book of the Bible, after God commands Moses to free the slaves, God commands Moses to tell the Israelites, aka the people who were slaves, that they could fucking turn around and make everyone who wasn't from Israel their slave. Sounds a bit hypocritical. And then you said God didn't say that they were property. Yeah, he did. Do you want me to read you the verse?
Yeah.
Awesome. So your male and your female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living amongst you and the members of their clan born in your country. You also may bequeath them to your children as inherited property, and you may make them slaves for life.
Yeah. Well, I guess I came unprepared, though. I'm going to do some research on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. If you could just ignore those verses of the Bible, I don't understand why I can't just ignore the verses of the Bible that say being a lesbian is wrong.
No, I didn't ignore them. I've heard, arguments for that, but I'm not just like a walking encyclopedia and dictionary,
Got it. You're good. You're good. Can you name a verse in the Bible that tells us being a lesbian is wrong?
No, not specifically just being a lesbian is wrong, though. Like why he created sexuality in the first place, man and a woman.
Wait, God definitely created same-gendered sexual orientations. Definitely, 110%. Like lesbians were born lesbian, or at least with a biological predisposition to be lesbian.
No, I'm agreeing with that statement. I meant to say that he created man and female to be one under marriage only in that.
So then why did he make lesbians lesbian?
He didn't make lesbians lesbian just the same way he didn't make me when I was a kid wanting to hurt other kids when they take my stuff. Okay, sure.
Well, you're talking about
we all have incorrect desires, and we're not supposed to act on those. That's how that works.
But you understand that these desires are biologically driven. Like, we could look at the specific parts of the brain. Like, for instance, GAY men have a larger anterior commissure than straight men. They have different traits of the AI-NAH3 subsection of the hypothalamus, such as dendritic density, neuronic substructure, literal numbers of neurons, levels of neurohormones, such as FSH, different associations along the genetic code as well, like the XQ23 chromosome. God definitely made them have those desires. But the big point here is you compared a woman being sexually attracted to a woman to you desiring to fuck kids up when you were young. I mean, we could demonstrate why that was a harmful desire because you would have been literally harming others. But can you please demonstrate why same-gendered desires are harmful or bad or whatever?
Not in that context. It's just in the context of it was created for a reason, a purpose. If it wasn't, then
and what's the purpose?
In a man and woman, you already know that. I made that point already.
And what's the purpose?
For a man and women to come together under God. Only in that way. And
what's the purpose?
Deviating other than that is wrong. But
what's the purpose for a man and a woman to come together?
Procreate. Yeah.
Procreation? Okay. Is it morally wrong for me to marry an infertile woman?
No.
Yeah, we want to be able to procreate just like two lesbians, but yeah, you don't say it's wrong.
It isn't the 100% only purpose for marriage and all that. No, it's just the only reason God created sexuality in the first place. No, not all Christians have to have children. No, the whole point isn't only just to have children. But my point is it's created for a purpose. If it's not created for
What is the purpose?
If it's not created for a purpose, then you can do whatever the heck you want with your sexuality. If you want to marry.
What is the purpose?
Purpose for your sexuality is to conjoin with the opposite sex, not same sex. Simple as that.
Okay. So for what reason?
Yes, I don't know how to answer that other than the way I already did.
For reproduction, for multiplication, right?
No, that's not the only reason, no.
Okay, so then what the fuck is the issue with two women marrying one another?
Because that's not why your sexuality was created.
Yeah, okay, prove that.
Yeah.
Give me an argument for the idea that people are supposed to be straight. Go ahead.
Actually, even if I can't, you don't have a reason for reasons why people can't use the sexuality in the way that they 100% want to in all cases.
Yeah, I definitely have a reason why they can't do that. Sierra, I appreciate you for the $20 on Venmo. Let's get a W Sierra in that chat. Thank you so much. Absolutely massive W Sierra. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much. So you said, I don't have a reason why it's not acceptable for all people to act on all of their sexual attractions in all scenarios. Yeah, we absolutely fucking do. I think it's wrong for people to act upon their attractions to children because this results in rape, rights violations, harm, trauma, and suffering, right? But we couldn't say the same thing about lesbian attractions, right? What about incestuous attractions? Well, if you act on incestuous attractions, there's two things here. Well, one, it has a very high potentiality in just reducing it to malformed genetically malformed offspring, which causes the offspring real harm. And then typically the types of relationships that we'd see between like a mother and a father and their children, or in between the children, is one that would include a power dynamic and be very similar to grooming, so it'd be non-consensual by nature. So, but what I'm getting at here is if we are to demonstrate a sexual attraction as being morally wrong, we'd have to do so with good reason. And I just demonstrated some sexual attractions to be wrong with good reason. So I will now just ask you to do the same thing, but in the context of the sexual attraction shared by two consenting adult lesbians.
I don't want to deviate from where that rant started from. My original point that you just responded to that I wasn't able to finish was pretty much exactly everything that you just said. Is that subjective or objective?
I think my meta-ethical view is completely irrelevant to our conversation.
No, it is very
6 months ago, 1 second, 6 months ago, I would have answered, well, this is objectively true. But since then, I am now a moral subjectivist, so I will now answer that it is subjectively true.
So basically, pretty much everything that you just said isn't 100% correct in all cases. Just subjective.
That is not what meta-ethics is.
It's your opinion.
No.
It's your opinion. So your opinion isn't better than anybody else's in any way, shape, or form. So if tomorrow you were going to say the exact opposite of everything you just said, it's the exact same amount valid. So your position is literally just held on, I feel this way, so that's what I'm going to believe.
So I just don't know if you don't have a single fucking shred of an understanding of meta-ethics. That's not how it works. Right? So I think that some subjective opinions can be more or less valid than others in some non-subjective sense. Granted, the objective internal consistency with things such as classical logic, right? We could also go through and have some objective standard for which subjective moral claim has more descriptive justification for what we ought do or what is rational, right? Kylie, I appreciate you for the $5 on Venmo. Thank you so much. But overall, this is a really weird straw man that completely detracts from you telling me why the attractions held by two lesbians is wrong, okay? And then on top of this, I'm definitely going to say the same thing about you. Your God is nothing more than a mere delusion that only exists in the confines of your fucking cranium. The Bible is nothing more than a form of mass crowd control in which irrational people are sympathetic to, as it gives them this deluded purpose for life and it makes them feel like they are not mere mortals. And then further yet on top of that, why the fuck should real people such as lesbians in this context, have to pay for those delusions? You're telling me that lesbians, who were born that way, and who cannot change this fact about them, and who do not necessarily impact harm onto others because of that, should suffer because of your delusions. But yet you're coming at me for having my subjective opinions?
Well, basically that point was pretty much being that, yeah, you're bringing up all these, facts that you think help your argument, but it's subjective. But to respond basically to what you said.
Hey, all of your beliefs are not only are they subjective, but they're unjustified.
No, but I have an objective basis, that being God.
No, you don't.
They are justified.
Absolutely you don't. God is not real.
Everything that you currently believe all comes from
What is your objective basis? What is your objective basis for morality?
My objective basis is God and Jesus.
Yeah, God is not real.
God is real. The evidence.
Go ahead and give me an argument for that.
Sure, I'll give you an argument for that. This exactly thing that we're talking about, you hold so strongly to morality as if morality is like 100% objective, but it's not. And you can't live it out either. But from the point that I made earlier is pretty much, since everything you just said is subjective, if tomorrow you were to say the complete opposite, you would still be just as valid as today. Yet you can't live that out at all. You can't even live out the conclusion of atheism, which is pretty much life has zero purpose, neither does sexuality. So do whatever the heck you want with your sexuality. Do whatever you want with your life. You want to be Adolf Hitler? Go for it. You want to be really nice? You want to be like Mother Teresa? Go for it. Neither is better and neither is worse. That is the conclusion of atheism. But you can't live that out on a daily basis at all. That is one of my points for God, that not even atheists
Okay.
what they believe.
So we're going to go ahead and look at your argument here. So first of all, you made a lot of really shitty analytical assumptions there. And we will briefly touch on them. So atheists can and do have systems that propone objective morality.
Subjective.
You just had no objective morality. You just haven't studied them, right?
Impossible. That is impossible.
Can you demonstrate the explicit contradiction between objective morality and atheism?
Yeah, easily.
And which is?
Morality to be objective basically means that humans have a purpose, and to deviate from that.
No, in order for morality to be objective, all this means is there's some stance independent standard of what is good and bad.
Yes.
Now, please tell me why this is incompatible with atheism.
Okay, great.
Why can't this stance independent standard for what is good and bad be nothing more than a mere pragmatic system in which would be analogous to systems of mathematics? When you were talking about, when you were talking about the atheist worldview, not once did you say that atheists can't do math, right? So you would say that a stance independent objective standard for mathematics can exist under the atheist worldview. So why couldn't some stance independent objective standard for morality exist under the atheist worldview?
Simple, because that standard would have to be above humans, because if it is under humans or humans in general, then it is completely opinionated and subjective and not real.
So there is a standard above humans that dictates
Yes.
right and wrong.
Yes.
How is this not compatible with an atheist worldview?
Simple, because there's impossible for it to be above humans, because there's
Can
literally
you give me the contradiction? You're saying it's impossible. I'm not buying it. What's the contradiction?
It is impossible because
Okay, well, it's in
humans-
order for
simple.
something, Arrow, stop talking. In order for something to be logically impossible, it must mean that it would be logically contradictory for it to be otherwise.
Yes.
So I'm asking you for the logical contradiction to demonstrate that it cannot be otherwise.
Simple, because it is just an opinion, because it's not objective.
Oh no, I'm asking you for the logical contradiction in the existence of an objective standard. So as far as like we're going right now, your argument as to why as to why atheists cannot have objective morality is atheists cannot have objective morality, therefore atheists cannot have objective morality. Brother, that's absurd and circular.
Okay.
What is the logical contradiction between objective morality and atheism?
For there to be objective morality, then that standard needs to be above humans. If it is throughout humans,
And what's the
then-
problem with that under atheism?
Because morality then depends on which human you're talking to, and there's no.
What is the issue with a stance independent objective standard above humans and atheism? Those two things are logically compatible.
Because there's impossible for there to be a standard.
Give me an argument for that. Give me no. You're getting circular, pal. Give me the argument. You keep saying it's impossible. You keep making a claim. Give me the argument that shows it's impossible.
Or the argument is pretty much there has to be a mind prior to the human mind that creates and defines
Give
morality.
me an argument for that.
Then let me respond, because if humans,
No, I want an argument for that
let
claim.
me respond. If humans decide morality, then morality depends on which human you're talking to, and there's
I said I want an argument that it is impossible for a stance independent standard for morality to exist under atheism.
That quite literally is the argument, that it is an opinion and there's an impossible way to have an objective.
I want you to give me an argument that results in the conclusion that it's impossible.
It is
How many times do I need to say this? So I will ask the guests one more time. For the 1.5 thousand people watching, I am asking Arrow for an argument to demonstrate that a stance-independent objective standard for morality is impossible to exist under an atheist worldview. And just to hold Arrow's hand a little bit further, in order for it to be impossible, it means it has to be logically contradictory. So your argument for why it's impossible should be nothing more than you demonstrating the contradiction. So let's see if he could demonstrate the contradiction.
Okay, I really don't know how you're not grasping this. It is literally physically impossible for an opinion to be objective. There it is. Digest it. Let it go through your ears, because clearly you're not grasping it. It is an opinion.
Oh, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you to show that opinions are objective. I asked you to show that a stance independent, not opinion, objective standard would be impossible for morality to exist under an atheist worldview.
That literally is it right there, because atheists believe there's nothing above matter. So pretty much everything exists about morality in a human's brain.
No, I'm a atheist. Concepts exist. Concepts exist. Concepts are not matter. Red herring.
Yeah, those are.
I'm so sorry. Do atheists believe in math?
Yeah, they believe in that.
Is math made of matter?
No.
So atheists believe in these concepts. I have a question. Is math objective?
Yeah.
So atheists believe in an objective concept that is not made of matter. And would you say that the rules that govern math exist above the subjective rules that govern humans?
No, not exactly. Just math is a way we navigate and understand reality. It isn't an intangible, like, actual thing that exists.
Yeah, so you are explaining an objective standard for a concept that can and does exist under the atheist worldview. Why could the same not be said about morality?
Because morality isn't just a thing you go and discover, like math, or a way for you to thinking.
Oh, that's exactly what you believe. You believe that we discover we discover morality through the Bible. The Bible simply reveals to us what is right and wrong.
We don't discover it; reveals.
That is literally what a revelation is. Yes, that's what a discovery is. You discover the revelation of what's right and wrong.
Yeah, it shows us reality.
Dad, that is what a discovery is. How many times do we need to go over this? Hey, in fact, bro, get the fuck off my live. You're annoying as hell.
That's what I thought. Get me out of here.
Do you think you're winning?
No, yes, because you literally won't let me. You won't even respond to what I'm saying.
Do you think I'm winning? Do you think you're winning? Hey,
your morality is an opinion, and you think that your morality can be above any.
Your morality is an opinion.
Well, okay, listen. It's physically impossible for your morality to be above literally anybody else.
Hey, God, I'm going to explain to you a contradiction.
Did that make sense to you? Did that make sense to you?
I'm going to give you my argument against the Christian God.
You can't respond to it. You literally can't respond to it.
No, because it's a claim. You cannot prove your claim.
Respond to this.
Yes, here's my response.
No.
It is not impossible. You have to be able to give me an argument for why it's impossible. If you say that it's impossible for objective morality to exist on the atheist worldview, you have to give an argument why. Like, I could just say that it's impossible for God to exist. If I don't give you an argument why, we're not getting anywhere. So give me the argument why it's impossible. And if you can't, I'll go ahead and give you my argument why it's impossible for the Christian God to exist.
Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my bad. My cat was
Test.
meowing. You're not responding to what I want you to respond to. I'm saying.
Chat. Smiley face if you want to move on. Sad face
in your
if you
head
don't.
is an opinion.
Sad face if you don't. No, what I'm saying is that like moral realism is compatible with atheism. Like, I don't know how many times I need to go over this with you. I'm just going to go in and give you my argument against the existence of the Christian God. So, if the Christian God were to exist, evil wouldn't exist. Evil does exist, therefore the Christian God does not exist. What part of my argument do you reject?
I reject exactly what you just said. It's physically impossible for there to be evil without a God. Because
Yeah, so
very
I
much
particularly find it, I don't think that an all good God would allow for evil things.
So you believe that if a God existed right now, then he should pretty much smite down every single human because all of us do not good stuff, like lie.
No, an all good God just wouldn't even allow us to do evil in the first place. We just wouldn't have the ability to.
Great. So if an all good God wanted a creation to love him, so he shouldn't give them the chance to have that, like free will. He shouldn't give them free will, pretty much.
No, free will is definitely compatible with the idea that you could only do good things. I mean, God could only do good things, but yet you say God has free will.
Because that's his nature.
Yeah. So what we see is that God could have made the same about our nature true, and the same like for instance, it's not in our nature to be able to jump to the moon, but yet we still have free will. So it could have just simply not been in our nature to do evil things, but yet we'd still have free will.
Yeah, I see the argument that you have right there. I guess it really has to do with the fall that happened and created the gap.
Yeah, no, you're assuming that the fall had to occur. The fall didn't have to occur. God could have created humans without the natural ability to do evil things. And what would the issue with this be?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, what's the issue with God just creating humans without the ability to do evil things? What's the issue?
Because then if they don't have the choice to do those evil said things, then they're not free.
Dude, is God free?
Yes.
Yeah, God doesn't have that choice. Contradiction. Are the people in heaven free?
Yes.
The people in heaven don't have that choice. Contradiction. Are you a Catholic?
Yeah. Yes, those people in heaven do have.
Are
that
you a Catholic?
The angels rebelled. Lucifer rebelled. They have
the humans in heaven absolutely do not. It's described as perfect. If people had the choice to sin in heaven, it would not be described as perfect. Are you a Catholic?
No, I'm not a Catholic. And
Okay, Jesus, for instance. Jesus was a man, fully man, who had free will, but yet didn't have the ability to choose to do bad things. They're compatible, all right? So when you make the claim that in order for us to have free will, we have to be able to choose to do bad things, but then God has free will, but God doesn't have that choice. Jesus had free will, but Jesus didn't have that choice. People in heaven have that free will, but people in heaven don't have that choice. That's all just a big contradiction. You can have free will without the ability to choose to do bad things.
yes, God and Jesus have that choice. So it's said in the Bible that Jesus had the choice to call down angels whenever he wanted to and remove them from the cross. If he did that, he would have been disobeying God. So he had that choice. Yes, but it's just not in his.
So then God is not necessarily good?
Yes, God is necessarily good. He
So
decides.
this means that God does the good in all possible worlds. Hey, can God do logically contradictory things?
No.
Okay, is an all good God doing a bad thing a logical contradiction?
Yes.
So God can't do bad things as it is logically contradictory.
He has the choice to do it, but he just
No,
doesn't.
which premise of that's not how it works. Which premise of my argument do you reject? Premise 1, God can't do logically contradictory things. Premise 2, God doing a bad thing is logically contradictory. Trivial conclusion, God can't do bad things.
Logically contradictory in what way?
In what way? I described the way in a logically contradictory way.
Like him doing something that doesn't go with his nature.
Sure, yeah. God can't do things that fall outside his nature. God doing a bad thing would fall outside of his nature. Therefore, God can't do bad things. We could also word the argument that way. Do you accept the conclusion, or do you reject the premise?
No, I reject that premise.
Okay, so which premise do you reject?
No, I reject that because God has his nature. His nature is just, but he also has the willing choice to go against that nature.
No, so which premise? Oh, so okay. So God can go against his own nature. So God can do logically contradictory things, as you agreed that God doing something bad would be logically contradictory. Then, right?
Sure.
Okay, so if God could do logically contradictory things, well, then who gives a fuck about your human logical concern that we wouldn't have couldn't do bad things? God could have just made it true anyways.
That wouldn't, and not in that case, because that's not in his nature to do bad things. He's to do so. But
So now you're pivoting back and forth. Can God do logically contradictory things or not?
no.
No, so God can't do logically Okay, premise 1, God can't do logically contradictory things.
Yes,
Premise
no.
2, God doing evil is logically contradictory. Conclusion, God can't do evil.
Yeah, God can't do evil, which is what's not in his nature. Yes.
Okay, God can't do evil, but God still has free will, so then having free will is compatible with not being able to do evil.
having free will is not compatible with being to do evil?
Having free will is compatible with only being able to do good things.
It's not.
It's not, so then either God doesn't have free will or God can do bad things.
That is not how, I don't know.
That's illogical implications, bud.
I don't know how you get to that conclusion.
Bro, I literally gave you the argument. What? Oh, okay, I'll give it again. Premise 1, God cannot do logically contradictory things. Premise 2, God doing something bad is logically contradictory. Conclusion, God cannot do bad things. Second argument, God has free will. God can't do bad things. Conclusion, God has both free will while not being able to do bad things. Subconclusion, free will is compatible without the ability to do bad things. Those are the two arguments in which we've yielded the conclusion that free will is compatible without the ability to do things. The first argument focuses on how God can't do bad things. The second argument focuses on how free will is compatible without the ability to do bad things. The first argument has two premises. The second argument has two premises. Please tell me if and which argument you reject, and if so, tell me which premise you reject in the particular argument.
I reject I know what point you're going for. I reject the original conclusion because God's nature is completely.
In order for you to reject the conclusion, you have to reject a premise. It's logically sound. It's logically sound. Logically valid. You have to reject a premise in order to reject the conclusion.
The point is, God cannot create another being with exactly his nature.
Okay, yeah, giving a human free will without giving them the ability to do bad things is not giving them the same exact nature. Do the people in heaven have the same exact nature as God?
No.
Maze, I appreciate you for the $6.66 on Venmo, but yet they have free will without the ability to do bad things, so that argument was a red fucking herring. Good job. Awesome. Which premise of the argument do you reject?
I already gave you my conclusion.
No, well, you can't just reject the conclusion. You have to be able to reject a premise in order to reject the conclusion. That's how philosophical arguments work. If all the premises are true, then it is logically necessary for the conclusion to follow. So you either have to demonstrate how that's not the case and the argument is not valid, or you have to be able to reject a particular premise.
I just rejected your conclusion, which is.
Yeah, that's not how it works, bud. I don't know how to break it to you. I'll give you an example. Premise 1, all men are mortal. Premise 2, Socrates is a man. The logical conclusion of this would be Socrates is mortal, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you be able to reject the conclusion that Socrates is mortal without rejecting that either all men are mortal or Socrates is a man?
No, you wouldn't be able to.
No. So in order to reject a conclusion of an argument, you have to reject a premise. Which premise of my argument do you reject?
Your premise that God's nature going against it being
that actually, I'll go ahead and give them to you again. Premise 1, God can't do logically contradictory things. Premise 2, God doing evil is a logical contradiction. Which one of those two premises do you reject?
I just said it.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, which premise? 1 or 2?
2.
2. So you reject that an all good God doing something evil is a logical contradiction?
Something evil is.
I'm so sorry. Hey, can a square be 100% white and 1% black at the same time?
No.
Because that'd be contradictory, right?
That'd be contradictory.
So a God can't be 100% good and 1% evil at the same time, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you reject logic.
I don't get how you get to that conclusion. I don't.
I literally held your hand the entire time. In the same way a square can't be 100% white and 1% black, God can't be 100% good and 1% evil.
I'll digress on this talking point.
What does that even fucking mean? Are you going to respond or not?
I already did, and I just don't understand what you were...
No, you didn't respond because in order for you to reject my argument, you have to reject a premise. Is it premise 1 or premise 2?
No, I rejected your argument's conclusion.
Yeah, as we already detailed through the hypothetical, detailing like all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. You cannot reject the conclusion without rejecting a premise.
Dog, okay. Let's just...
Yeah, get fucking dunked on. You know the reason I decided to go so fucking hard on you and lose viewers was because you had some snarky little giggle a while back when I told you that I was going to kick you. So, yeah, no. I said fuck the views. I said fuck the entertainment. And I philosophically stomped on you. Have a good day, sir. Moving on to our last guest of the night. Let's go and get 1K up in here. Ladies and gentlemen, if we're in those guest requests, make sure that we do think that being a lesbian is wrong. King Petty? Oh, I'm petty as shit. You better fucking believe it. That's right. That was epic? Hell yeah. All right, 1K, you're not loading in. We're going to move on to our next guest. Yeah, chat, we may end a little bit early tonight. We've been on for 45 minutes with 7K views. Yeah, the live is not sending out today. Let's go to move on. Yo, Janie, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. That's so kind of you. Thank you for the love. W Janie in the comment section. Thank you so much, Janie. What's up? Do you think that being a lesbian is wrong?
What's up, bro? I would say yes.
Okay, why?
So first, I want to set the tone that I am a Christian and I'm a believer of the Bible, and so that would be one of my main sources of why it's morally wrong.
Okay,
but also, I want to. Yeah, real quickly. I also want to specify that I don't believe that the attraction is wrong in itself, but the acting upon the.
Yeah, are you ready for the argument?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Is there pegging in heaven?
Is there pegging?
Yep.
No.
Oh, wait, why?
Because I don't think there's any sex in heaven.
Wait, pegging? Why is that necessarily sex?
Pegging, you're talking about a female.
Can you please give me the verse in the Bible that says pegging is immoral?
Yo, what?
Tell me the verse in the Bible that says pegging is immoral.
There is no verse that talks about pegging.
So there's no pagan in heaven, but yet you say it's better than hell?
Wait, what? I'm not understanding.
Is God all-knowing?
Yes, he is.
Does that mean that God knows what it feels like to get pegged in the ass?
That's not cool. Are we going to stick to the
It's a question.
Are we going to stick to the subject?
Yeah, brother, we're talking about God. I'm showing the obvious absurdities and a belief.
So the question is, why is being lesbian wrong?
Yeah, bro. What verse in the Bible tells us? What verse in the Bible tells us that like lesbian intercourse is wrong?
As far as women on women, there's not many besides Romans 1:26 through 28. I mean, there's other ones like Genesis 2:24, Mark 10:6, 1 Corinthians 6:9.
Mark
There's a lot
10:6 doesn't talk about intercourse. Talks about marriage. Holly, I appreciate you for the galaxy. Thank you so much for the love.
Right.
Genesis 2. I don't even know where in fucking Genesis 2 it talks about like sexual attractions, marriage, or intercourse at all. Brandon, thank you for the $25 on Venmo. Let's get a W Brandon in the comment section. Thank you so much for the love, Brandon. W Brandon, guys, thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo. As far as Romans go, if we understand the Greek Roman like culture and society, when Paul writes that it was like sexual deviancy and immoral, we have to understand what he could have been referencing. The only type of like same-gendered intercourse that we saw in Greek Roman society was that between rich old men and young male prostitutes. So I think
he specifically mentions that women exchange their natural relations for those that are contrary to nature. And so to say that it's just talking about whatever you just said is talking about is wrong, because the verse I quoted is specified to women, but the other ones that I quoted
How about this? How do you know that your religion is accurate?
Because of historicity.
Of what?
Of the accurate accounts of history that are written through the Bible.
Yeah, like what?
Many things, like Jesus' existence, his baptism, his crucifixion.
Yeah, I don't think that that would prove him to be the son of God, though. That's difference.
Right.
Would you be able to grant me any evidence that Jesus was the son of God?
Right. If he said so, as well as if he provided proof of these things through miracles and things like that have firsthand accounts and witnesses to these miracles. And
you just said that Jesus being alive, being baptized, and being crucified had historicity, right? We're accurate, right? We have like historical accounts to grant some credence towards the idea that those three things are accurate. I agree with you.
That's not the only.
But none of those things would prove miracles. Yeah, give me evidence that Jesus committed a miracle, a single one. Let's hear it.
It's in the Bible, and then there's early church fathers who attested to these same things through their writings.
Oh, so basically, if the gospel is true, then the gospel is true?
I just said that there's outside sources like Roman historians and such of that nature who wrote about the same things.
So
About
Josephus was not a Roman historian, he was a Jewish historian. Tacitus was a Roman historian, you get a brownie point there. And then those individuals do not write about the accounts of his miracles. All that they state is that there's a man named Jesus that died on a cross. And then interpolated into Josephus's text was the idea that he was crucified but and resurrected. But please do keep in mind that early church fathers and current church fathers and leading theologians all reject that is accurate, and they all reject its historicity and state that it is interpolation. So no, Tacitus and Josephus absolutely do not reiterate the idea that Jesus was God.
they do reiterate that, and early church fathers do as well. Like,
hey, I have a question. In what writings of Josephus's was Jesus written about? What was the name of Josephus's
circle
writings?
back to the topic. I don't want to go onto this tangent like you did with the other Christians.
No, we're talking about your evidence for Christianity being true. We are on topic.
Okay,
What was the
so-
name of Josephus's writings in which he talked about Jesus?
My only claim to lesbianism not being wrong, or the
Don't
sexual
pivot. Answer my
immorality-
question. What was the name of Josephus's writings in which he talked about Jesus?
I don't have the name of the writings for you.
It's called Antiquities of the Jew. And in
You're right,
Antiquities of the Jew in 27, he specifically talks about Jesus, but he mentions nothing about miracles. He mentions nothing about raising from the dead.
mentions
And the
the
only
reading
thing in
first.
which he states is that other people thought he did. And
Yeah.
that absolutely is not historical evidence that would prove that those things did occur. And if just simply reiterating that people thought something was true was a good enough evidentiary standard to definitively show that it is true, then why the hell do you reject Islam? Because the grandparents of Muhammad said the same shit about his spiritual encounters with the angel Gabriel.
Because actually that was prophesied about, that any man that comes with a different doctrine besides the one, even if it's an angel, let it be cursed. So, I mean, that would be another...
This is you presupposing the truth of the gospel in order to reject the truth
these
of the
early-
Quran.
early
We are
manuscripts
simply
of the first
asking you
second-
for the use. No, shut up. We are not asking you to presuppose the gospel here. We are simply evaluating your standard of evidence that apparently shows that the gospels are true, right? But the same standard of evidence would show any religion is true, right? And I'd argue that it would be a stronger standard of evidence in the context of Judaism, because Judaism reports that 2 million people saw divine revelation from God. It doesn't say anything about that in the Christian Bible. So my issue with you is, if a good enough evidentiary standard to prove that shit in history actually happened was people saying it happened, what about the apparent 2 million people that said they saw a divine revelation from God in the context of Judaism? Not only is it more eyewitness or apparent eyewitness, but it's also older.
Well, I mean, all of those writings and manuscripts of the Old Testament have prophecies of Jesus coming to fruition, and he even said that he came not to abolish the law but to fulfill it, and that he came. with an
Absolutely
even
not.
better
Give me
covenant.
one.
Give you one what?
Give me one prophecy, sir.
Really?
Oh, you don't need to look it
Just
up.
one?
You could just say Isaiah
No, just one.
53.
Isaiah, yeah, 100%. Isaiah 53. I think Psalms 118. There's many.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Isaiah 53. Do you know what about Jesus is prophesied in there? Go ahead and tell me.
Is it about the nailing of his hands, the division of his garments?
No, it's about the suffering servant. So Isaiah 15:3 goes through, an insane amount of parables and statements about some servant of God that shall prosper, and he shall be exalted and lifted up, and shall be very high. And this is the prophecy of Isaiah 15:3. But it's abundantly clear if you read
15:3, that's
Isaiah 53, yes. But it's abundantly clear that this servant of God is not a prophecy about Jesus in the future, but it's rather a descriptive explanation about Israel. Because we could read Isaiah 41, where Israel is described as God's servant a relentless amount of times. Isaiah 41, 8 through 9, but you, Israel, my servant. Isaiah 43:10, you are
That's
my
not talking about
witness,
the
says
man
the Lord,
Israel.
and my servant in which I've chosen, so they shall believe me, talking about Israel. Isaiah 44, 1 through 2, but now hear, O Jacob, my servant, Israel, who I have chosen. Isaiah 44:21. Remember these things, O Jacob and Israel, for you are my servant. Isaiah 45:4. For the sake of my servant Jacob and Israel my chosen. Isaiah 48:20. For go out of Babylon, free from Chaldea. Declare this with a shout of joy. Proclaim it, send forth and end of the earth. The Lord has redeemed his servant Jacob. Isaiah 49:1-4. Listen to me, O Lord. You are my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified. The point
I don't
is
disagree.
any mention of a servant in Isaiah 53 is Israel, and it is not a prophecy about Jesus.
Yeah, that would be false because in that same scripture, the one specific to Jesus, it also mentions Jacob in that as well. So it wouldn't differentiate
What's the
from
verse?
Israel being a servant. I think it's 53. That's the chapter, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I do, and I just read off all those verses to you. Here's the point, man. Not only did you absolutely pivot away from the historicity of Jesus Christ because you knew that's something that you couldn't substantiate, not only did you
went on a
lose the
huge tangent
conversation
on
about Mosaic prophecy with a motherfucker that doesn't study Mosaic prophecy, but now I'm going to absolutely demolish you in a philosophical debate about if the Christian God could even exist. So here's my argument. Premise number one, if the Christian God existed, evil would not exist. Premise number two, evil exists. Conclusion, the Christian God does not exist. Which
That's
premise of my
honestly-
argument do you reject?
It's the dumbest argument ever because we
So
know
you
what
should
is
be
evil.
really good at rejecting it.
Yeah, so what is evil?
What is evil? Well, this is an internal critique. So evil is whatever you defined it as.
False. It's the absence of good. What is darkness?
Okay. So this is not a definition of evil. This is an ontological view on what evil is. So, and this is not relevant to the problem of evil in the slightest. You could say that evil is not an actual item, and evil doesn't actually exist, but it's simply the absence of good. But you still think there's evil people, you still think there's evil actions, and you still think there's evil things. As long as you think there's evil people, action, and things, the argument still stands. And let me put it this way. In the same way that coldness is the absence of heat, if something is cold, we can still address it. Like, for instance, if you and me owned an apartment complex and one of the levels on the apartment complex was really cold for some reason, and this was a problem for us, and we were trying to figure out why it was cold, and some jackass with his nerd glasses walked in and was like, coldness is actually just the absence of heat. Yeah, great fucking go, and doesn't tell us shit. It's still cold and we still have an issue. So you can be, evil is just the absence of good. Doesn't fucking matter. You still think there's evil people and actions, so we still have an issue.
Right, and the predisposition that I'm making is that God is the embodiment of good. That's his nature in fullness. Is that he's he's absolute good, absolute justified. So
perfect. So you told me what good and evil is. Awesome. So once again, premise one is if Christian God existed, evil would not exist. Premise two, evil exists. Conclusion: the Christian God does not. Which premise do you reject?
The first premise.
So, all right. So, yeah. Why does evil exist?
Because we have free will to choose to do what we want.
Okay. I think that we could have free will without the ability to choose to do evil. Does God have free will?
That would completely disprove the definition of free will. It's allowing us to choose what we want to choose.
Does God have free will?
Completely takes away the ability to choose evil, then there would be no free will. Then you're just a robot who always chooses good.
Does God have free will?
Of course, he is.
Is God a robot that always chooses good?
You just what?
Can God choose to do bad things?
If he so desired to do so.
Really, I don't think so. Can God do things that are logically contradictory?
No.
Is an all good God doing an evil thing logically contradictory?
It would be if he did something evil, but he never has.
So therefore, God cannot do evil things.
Okay, if you want to make that claim, then that's...
So God has free will, but yet God cannot do evil things. So having free will is compatible without the ability to do evil things.
I came up here to talk about lesbians.
Can you address my argument as to why the Christian God doesn't exist, therefore making your scripturally founded argument invalid?
Yeah, that was the one of like 10 points that I was going to make, but you went on this tangent of why it's invalid. But I had other ones as well.
Don't pivot, bro. Let's talk about God. I'm demonstrating to you how he can't exist.
Well, your post says why is being lesbian wrong, and now we're
Okay.
on
So
why-
hey, chat, wasn't he saying the same thing when I was disproving him about the historicity of Jesus' miracles?
Yeah, because I've been trying to go back to the point.
Okay, you know what? I'll let you pivot. Go ahead.
Sure. So again, I'll want to re-specify what I said. I don't believe in that lesbianism was wrong. The attraction to a same sex is wrong. It would be the acting upon that. Here's why: is because there's a large study that finds that 30 to 60% of women who indulge in these practices end up experiencing depression. And also, your argument that it would be "quote unquote" immorally wrong if you were to marry somebody who is infertile. We know that statistics say that there's only about 11% of women who experience infertility, and that would not be attributed to the conversation in general. But
Hey, what's menopause?
is when an old lady doesn't, well, I mean, could be a younger woman, but doesn't have a period.
And when a woman goes through menopause, does she become infertile?
Does she?
Yeah. So 100% of women after the age of about 55 or so are infertile. Then 18.5% of women prior to that point are infertile. Additionally here, this point about depression. You're saying that lesbians have higher rates of depression than straights. Therefore, it's wrong to be a lesbian.
No, I said it would be wrong to act upon the lesbian act, like having sex with another woman. There's also
For what reason?
statistics that show,
For what reason? Why do you think that lesbians have higher rates of depression than straight people? Why do you think that lesbian people have higher rates of depression than straight people?
I feel like the claim you're going to make is because of societal impositions that they're coming against them, so it would depress them. But I think it's because, and I don't have any source to back this, but it's just my own hypothesis, is that they're not actually subconsciously comfortable in their nature.
Okay, but the thing is we actually have evidence for the first thing you said. The second thing that you said is a fringe conspiracy theory held by like the most ignorant homophobic people alive.
Yeah, so, I mean, homophobia is the innate fear of lesbians or GAYs, and I don't think...
No, I define homophobia as prejudice towards anyone in the context of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah,
And also, maybe like lesbians aren't comfortable, not because they're a lesbian, but because of homophobes. Crazy shit, right? Hey, here's a thought. I'll go ahead and let Edith talk to you.
So we're not going to have a conversation?
Oh, wait, 1 second. Hey, sire, I tried to have a conversation with you about the historicity of Jesus. You pivoted. I tried to have a conversation with you about Mosaic prophecy. You pivoted. I tried to have a conversation with you about the possible existence of the God, and maybe that's incompatible with the fact that evil exists. Backed you into a corner. You pivoted. You bring up some really dumb fucking point about lesbians. I don't pivot. I just let a lesbian speak. And for some reason, you think this allows you to snark and giggle?
Yep.
Go look in a mirror, brother, and go ahead, Edith.
Okay. Oh, sorry, my cat is pissed. She hates this argument. Why do you think that lesbians are more depressed?
I already specified why. If you want to build on my claim, then you can build on my claim, but I'm not going to re-specify why I thought it was.
Oh yeah, God forbid you go back. Yeah. So, anyways, do you think that perhaps it could be because we're not accepted in society, and that's why we're not "quote unquote" comfortable in our nature?
That's what I said on the first one. Yep.
Huh. So it's almost as if, people not liking us is going to cause us to be depressed.
Well, that's not the only reason. Because
So it's
actually
not because of the lesbianism, which, by the way, you shouldn't be saying ism at the end of that. It's almost as if that's not cause, like the depression doesn't come from that. It comes from society.
Yeah, so what's the statistics for the amount of people who are lesbian now to the amount of people who were lesbian 100 years ago?
I'm pretty sure it's close to the same, and it's literally just the only reason that there's quote unquote more lesbians now is because the population is so much bigger now. Every demographic has gone up.
Yeah, proportionately speaking, like the percentage size of lesbians in comparison to like straight women has like remained the same all through history.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me some evidence for that because I disagree.
Yeah, I mean, can our neurobiology differ that much in a couple hundred years?
Yeah, so you had mentioned that earlier. That was kind of one of the other points I wanted to touch on was neurological or biological differences in the brain when it comes to people who are lesbian. And that's
Can you choose to be attracted to me right now?
I can choose to. You're pretty cute.
Oh.
Okay, the closet is fucking glass.
Okay, this is crazy because I cannot choose it. So yeah, bi king's in the chat. Everybody drop a bi king in the chat.
Fucking hell. Damn, the closet is glass.
So what about, because you had made, like I said earlier, a claim that people who are lesbian or GAY are different in the brain, simplified. So what about murderers and
Wait. Pause.
Because there's evidence that proclaims that they have differences in their brain as well. So
wait. If you're going to claim that lesbians have a different like brain makeup, I'm going to need you to provide sources for that.
I didn't say that. Dean did. So
I did
provide the sources.
Yeah, so like we'd be particularly looking at like the Netherlands Institute of Brain Research, the Center for Neurodoctrine Studies at the University of Pittsburgh in Massachusetts, or the Center for Neurochronology at UCLA. So like typically what we see is like, there's a lot of things that can change the size, shape, or function of your brain. And one of these attributes is going to be your sexual orientation. Like, for instance, if we were to compare the brain of a GAY man to the brain of a straight man, we see that the GAY man typically has a larger anterior commissure, right, which would be the nerve lining between the hemispheres of the brains. We'd also see varying traits of the hypothalamus. Sexual orientation is particularly contained in the AI-NH3 subsection of the hypothalamus. There's also different associations along the genetic code. We don't know them all because there's hundreds, but there's some that we could point towards with some reason, such as the XQ23 chromosome. And the point of all of this is just to simply show how it is not a choice. Right? And to address your point, Sire, about, well, these dispositions cause you to be a lesbian, just like dispositions cause people to be a murderer. Yeah, so neuroanatomical dispositions can cause a lot of things. They could cause you to be happier. They could cause you to be sadder. They could cause you to be a psychopath. They could, whatever the fuck. But the point is that none of these have any like correlate to your brain causing you to be a lesbian. And I don't understand why you'd even bring that up in the first place. Can you tell me what the relevance is?
Yeah, not to mention murderers cause harm, lesbians do not.
Yeah, it's like
Big
the
time
argument.
difference.
I mean, that's subjective morality anyway, but
Like
so-
the argument isn't, one second, the argument isn't, it's caused by our neuroanatomy, therefore it's morally right. That's not the argument in the slightest, no, right? When we bring up these biological dispositions, they're simply to refute arguments that it's a choice, therefore it's wrong.
Right, so then you'd have to take into account the same neurological differences in people who are murderers. So
For what reason? I don't see why we would.
because
Wait,
they're
but
the
we don't even
same-
have to do that because I don't think that it's always going to be based on like the neuroanatomy. And it still wouldn't be a choice. Like somebody could just have a preference for things without their brain being shaped differently. These studies that Dean is referencing are talking about like typically they'll find this, that, or the other thing, but that
No, not
doesn't mean that
typically.
it's
He
always
said-
going to be the case.
he very much so said that it's on a very large case of the.
One second, you could respond to Edith and address her points. You could respond to me and address my points, but don't try to pit me and Edith against one another.
No, not at all. But she did very clearly disagree with you, and then you came with the understanding and the.
Okay, yes. So,
But at the end of the day, we come to the same point though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting at here. We use different math to come to the same conclusion, and you're rejecting the conclusion. And I don't think that you have any reason to reject either of us as math, right?
Because the same studies that you're referring to also took into account environmental changes as well, like hormonal changes and stuff like that affect the person at birth. So
Yeah, they don't make it a change.
it totally does because it's not.
Wait,
it's
I'm so sorry. That doesn't make it a
completely
choice.
What their nature is when they come out of the womb, it was influenced by.
So what's the argument here?
No.
What are the environmental factors that that makes somebody a lesbian? I would like to know, so I can yell at my parents for making me this way.
It would be differences in moral.
So what's the overarching why is being a lesbian wrong? You're trying to do something here, and you're fucking failing. So what's the argument?
I've made multiple different things. I referenced the Bible. I referenced
absolutely no. Hey, buddy, take
morality.
1 second. 1 second. Take the Bible and throw it out the fucking window. I tried to engage with you on debate about the historicity of Jesus, and you literally wouldn't engage further, and you just pivoted. 1 second. 1 second. No, because in order for the Bible to be accurate in telling us what's objectively right and wrong, Christianity would have to be true.
So when it
And
tells
I
you
was
not
simply
to
demonstrating
murder
to you
somebody, that's
how you
wrong?
did not. 1 second.
When it says not to steal, that's wrong. When it says not to lie, that's wrong.
Those
when it
things
says
are-
not to cheat, that's wrong.
You are absolutely
all
conflating
objective
my
morality.
claims, and you are now
Not at all.
introducing red herrings into the conversation. Hey, sir, so when the Quran says not to murder, that's wrong. So when the Quran says not to steal, that's wrong.
But
When the
it piggybacks
Quran
off
says
the
in
Bible,
accordance
which
with
is
your
objective.
worldview not to engage. Savannah, thank you for the $7.77 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love. The point is that the Bible can tell us shit that's accurate, but it's not accurate because the Bible tells us shit. I have a fucking napkin next to me. I could write down on this napkin that murder is wrong, and the napkin would be accurate. But it's not accurate because the napkin says so. In a very similar sense, the Bible could say that that murder's wrong, but it's accurate, but not because the Bible says so. Because in order for the Bible to be the objective standard for morality, Christianity would have to be true. And I absolutely demonstrated to you how Christianity is false on two fronts. The first front that I demonstrated this to you on was by recognizing how you have no goddamn argument for Christianity being true. I beat the fuck out of you when we were talking about historicity of Jesus being the Son of God. The second front I absolutely demolished you on was a philosophical argument showing you the logical incompatibility between the existence of evil and the existence of the Christian God. Beat the fuck out of you on that argument as well. Ended up conceding that free will is compatible with only being able to do good things, and absolutely pivoted away from the conversation and went back to the topic about why being a lesbian is wrong. And then you tried to present an argument that it's wrong because they have higher rates of depression. Edith comes along, absolutely fucking demolishes you on that
Not
by
at
saying
all.
one thing. Hey man, if people don't like me, am I more likely to be depressed? Oh, holy goddamn shit. And now you're trying to make an argument saying that in the same way people are biologically predisposed to be lesbian, people are biologically predisposed to be a psychopath. Yes. And I don't see how those two things are correlated in the fucking slightest. We are not saying that being a lesbian is not wrong because it's not a choice. Not at fucking all. We are specifically saying that being a lesbian is not wrong because A, it doesn't cause any harm to others, and B, more broadly speaking here,
That's
there's
subjective.
no demonstrable reason as to why it would be wrong. There is no sound argument to substantiate your prejudice, sir. And when you come in here and you say that's subjective, no shit, you act like that's a critique. We exist in a subjective plane where when we're making these moral claims, we must do so to the best of our ability through the use of descriptive tools, such as some objective or quasi-objective standard of what rationality is, but this is exactly what you're doing as well. What the Bible conveys and the teachings in which it gives us are just as subjective as any other word in which I've shared with you.
They're not.
So,
And can I
sir,
explain why
what the
without being cut
fuck
off?
is the argument?
They're not. Can I explain without being cut off? Objective morality is same across the board of all societies and all cultural backgrounds. Subjective morality is different based on what it would be here in America versus Africa. There's
That's not
different
what makes
subjective
something
mor-
objective.
What?
Hey, across all societies and all cultural backgrounds, people are typically more attracted to individuals with symmetric faces. Does that mean that that having a symmetric face is objectively attractive?
No, of course not. But that's
So
again.
so just because a lot of cultures and societies agree on something, morally speaking, doesn't mean that it's objectively morally true. Right? What makes something objectively morally true is if it is true stance independently, right? But you necessarily have to mention this stance of what societies think in order to grant that it's an objective claim, which is just a category error. Edith, I'll let you take it away.
Can I make a point? Is that okay? Do you
Yeah,
mind?
go ahead, because I zoned out. I don't know where y'all are at now.
I'm actually gonna. I actually hit request during a certain point, and I don't wanted to bring it up. And it was about statistically something Sire said about how many lesbians there are now compared to 100 years ago or something like that. Not only when you put it proportionally speaking, where they're the same amount of lesbians, you have to also consider 100 years ago, it was way more common for people to not be out about their sexuality and be in the closet because people were being unalived left and right, justifiably in society, right? And so people were being, if not unalived, abused, harmed, all that stuff. So it was a lot scarier. I'll tell you, 31 years ago when I was born was a totally different world too for us. It was a lot scarier for me to come out, which is the only reason why I waited as long as I did, which took 18 years, versus now we have still prejudices, we still have problems, but it is a lot more common and a lot more accepted. So that is another very big reason why you could look in the past and see, oh, there was less, GAY people, there was less lesbians and all that. But that's just simply not true. It's kind of the same concept when we talk about being left-handed. Left-handed used to be considered weird and wrong. And
when was it ever considered weird and wrong?
1960s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
Yeah, give me that source.
Sure.
I mean, I can scroll out of the app and get it for you in
To add something.
I'll just give him this. When you get off here, I just literally want you to look up bias against left-handed people, and the first thing that will pop up is a massive Wikipedia article with about 50 citations. Well, actually 92 citations. So go read that up after you get off the live.
And just to be clear, you don't trust Wikipedia necessarily, but the fact that it has those citations mean that there are sources that support what it's saying specifically. So I am a strong endorser of don't just read anything on the internet, dig and make sure what you're reading is actually correct and supported by, peer-reviewed studies and real evidence.
Hey, Henry, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. So sinister is literally the Latin word for left.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Henry, W Henry in the comment section.
W Henry.
For real.
Yo, speaking about your Venmo stuff, you're going to say I'm pivoting, but I want to say that I think it's completely messed up that people are threatening your life just because you disagree with their opinions or their dispositions. And I think that people should be allowed to have respectful conversations on their disagreements without threatening your life because they disagree. I think
I appreciate you, Sire. Do you want to go ahead and respond to Kaylee's point, though? Because I'm expecting a call from a cop in 7 minutes, so I have to end my stream here pretty abruptly.
Yeah, what did you say, Kaylee?
I was talking about the comparison that you, I think you were trying to make a claim about now versus 100 years ago.
So the reason I made that claim is because we have so many different organizations and movements in the LGBT community with those things only coming on the rise in the last 100 years. And the reason I make that claim is because obviously my predisposition is that the Bible is true and it told us that these things would happen, right? So there's a complete disobedience and turning away from the faith or from what people held on to for years. Like you just said, there was millions of people who followed the Judeo law. You said you cooked me on that. I said that there was a new and better covenant. But anyway,
Dude, I don't understand why you'd even attempt to bring up Christianity.
Yeah,
You
why are
literally
we
pivoted away from it
dumping old
twice.
points? Make
because
one
I'm circling
point.
back to because
If you're gonna say it's just
Did they-
because the
did they
Bible
not-
is true,
did they
then
not
I
come
would
on and
say
say that they picked up on
you're
a part of
wrong
the
because I
conversation
have
from earlier?
a predisposition to believe that God is not real, but gay people are. I'm living proof. Therefore, gay people are real, and it is not a choice.
That was so good. Damn.
That was hard as fuck, bro.
I mean, at the end of the day, God's not real. We are. We're here. We're breathing. We're talking to you
can't prove
now.
that, scientists can't prove that, and atheists can't prove that. So
Oh, except here's the thing: religious scholars, Christians cannot prove that. Wait, actually, yes, we can prove that gay people are real, but there's never been anybody in the world to be able to prove that God, specifically the Christian God too, is real.
Then
They
also-
are real. We're living, we're breathing, we're here, we're talking to you.
Yeah, I didn't say you weren't real.
Then also, hey, the bigger point here, I tried to have 2 discussions with you about the existence of the Christian God. You pivoted away each time. So you're either going to stop bringing up the Christian God, or we are going to go back to debating the Christian God.
Yeah, and I didn't pivot. There was a rabbit hole of different things that were being discussed, so I had to touch on multiple points. So that's not a pivot, that's me trying to touch on multiple points.
No, I literally backed you into a corner about how a evil would be incompatible with the Christian God's existence. And then you said, we should get back to talking about lesbians. But then as soon as we start talking about lesbians again, you're like, oh, we should get back to talking about Christians.
I did not.
Yeah, you did. Hey, we got 1.4 thousand witnesses in here.
Yeah, and you had
let
to
them know.
record it. I
Let them
did
know
not
in the
say, Let's
chat.
go back to
That's
talking
more
about
than how many people witnessed the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Yep. Yeah.
Chill.
I also didn't actually really gather what your response to what I said was, other than because the Bible and people reject it. Like, I don't. People still to this day, I was raised solely around Christians, and so I'm still rejecting it, and I'm out. I don't understand how that disputes anything that I said about. Hold on, please. And it doesn't dispute anything about the fact that I said we still existed 100 years ago. The same amount of us existed 100 years ago, and we were just in the closet. So I don't get it.
Sire, go ahead and respond to her point with your closing statements. I'm kicking you and I'm ending my life.
Yeah, so I mean, the point that I made wasn't to say that you didn't exist. I didn't ever say that. I said that there's been a push for it more now than there ever has been.
Well,
And
you're
that's
saying
because
we're
there's
choosing
obviously-
to do it. Let's just be clear on that. You're saying we're choosing it.
Yeah,
You're
I
simply
would say
saying that
that's
no,
fine.
we're not.
So you can't choose to be straight.
I cannot
Oh,
choose
no.
to find a man
No.
attractive. No, sorry, Dean.
No.
You're a great person, but unlike
Hey,
the guest,
hey, man, I can't choose to find a man attractive either. I get
Yeah,
it.
sorry, Dean. I don't understand the hype.
Dude, I don't understand the hype either. I get it.
Trust and believe.
I can look at a person and say that they might be like an attractive human being without having a sexual desire to be anything with them. I cannot choose to be like sexually intimate with a man because I have proven that to myself, because the multiple times that I almost ended up in that situation, I just didn't want to. So anyways. Thanks for letting me up, Dean, and whatever you're going through, I hope it gets better for you. I'm not sure if there's something going on, but
Yeah, I'll talk about that real quick for like 2 minutes. First of all, Kaylee and Edith, I appreciate y'all both for coming up. This live is obviously shadow banned, but I didn't really want to restart it, so we've just kind of been chilling. It's been a fun night. But yeah, so there's like some creator online that is like threatening my life and my sister's. And he's just admitted that he is going to drive 14 hours to come unalive me. And he's also admitted that when he does unalive me, he's going to convince the jury that he did so without previously mentioned intent. This was like all just admitted by him on live. He's been talking about it every day for months. And there's going to come a point where he has nothing else to lose and he actually does come and do it. Massive, really, really, kind of scary. I've contacted my local PD. They've said that they can't do shit. I've contacted his local PD. They said that they'd only do something if my local PD did something. So, just kind of a sitting duck here. He also said that he was going to grape my sister. And he's saying that he is willing to pay anyone who can find my or my sister's address, like $50 if they give the address to him.
Only 50? Come on.
So it's like pretty immediate. It's a threat on my life.
Yeah.
So I've been sitting here with things off screen the entire time with the door locked and whatnot. But anyways, so yeah, something I was kind of doing today was, and I'll say this again unless anyone wants to support. Birdie, I appreciate you for the hands up. We want to start getting together a little bit of emergency fund for hotel rooms if I need one, if my sister needs one, if any member of my family needs one. Because as soon as we get word that this man is heading this way, if we get word, well, then I'm going to be putting everyone up in hotels just out of an extreme level of precaution. So if y'all want to, support the cause, with what that may cost. Feel free to support me over Venmo or PayPal, but of course you don't have to. It's literally so unnecessary and it's such a small thing, but feel free to.
Dean, can you potentially, and I know this might be asking a lot of you, but if you could even briefly explain that in a video, I'll share it to all my social media and get it like out to as many people as I can. I'll stitch it and try to get people to, if they can, I'm not going to try to pressure anyone, but I definitely would help support you. My first question was, do you have anywhere that you can go to be safe? Because that's terrifying and I cannot even imagine what that feels like. Nobody deserves to go through that.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, I was thinking about making a video on it, but I don't think I will because I don't want to give him publicity. Like,
That's
I don't
true.
even want him to know that I'm talking about him. Like, what if that just makes him want to do it even more because he sees all the publicity that, you know, me just talking about it's getting. So then he's like, I'm gonna be big and famous if I actually go out there and do it. So, you know, just kind of keeping it low key, talking about it on these lives, but you know, we're gonna try to get him locked up before he has a chance to do anything.
I'm glad you said that, so I won't make any videos or anything either, but I will try to at least get your Venmo and stuff out there to people.
Oh, Kaylee. Well, I appreciate you for coming up, Kaylee. And I appreciate you for coming up as well, Edith. I hope that you guys both have a good rest of y'all's nights.
Thanks, Dean.
Also, just like FYI, historically, I've only been pro 2A for women, but I think it might be time to exercise your right to bear arms. Unfortunately.
I agree. I don't want to talk about that because if he's
Yeah.
watching, I don't want to give him any hints. But I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'll text you about that privately. I have some things to tell you. But all right, Kaylee and Edith, appreciate y'all for coming up.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys. Oh, then also, hey. Leah, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love, Leah. And Gerard, thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo. That is absolutely so kind of you. Quickly, before we end, y'all, show some love to Leah Gerard in the chat. And just putting it out there, I may be live later on at Dean Get a Grip, you know, just to kind of fuck around, have some fun, maybe have some little debates, but that's about it. But hey, I'm actually going to have you all do something after you leave the live here. But W. Gerard, W. Leah, I appreciate the two of you so very, very much. I'm going to have y'all do something real quick. So here's a video that I posted right before I went live today. If you like click on my account after I end, it'll be just the most recent video. Kaylee, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. W. Gerard, W. Kaylee. Thank you so much, Kaylee. W. Kaylee's in that chat. Thank you so much. But hey, guys, so after y'all leave the live, you guys should go to my recent TikTok. I'll literally just show you. There's the recent TikTok. Click on it. Then I want you to click the like button. And then I want you to drop a couple comments and maybe even like some comments and share it out with your friends. We're going to try to get this video to blow up. This is a video going over my official thoughts about the debate that I had with Brooks. It's about 3 minutes long, and I'd say that it's pretty intricate and in-depth. So everyone go like that video, share it around, comment a few times. I love you all, Kaylee, Gerard, everyone that has helped me out today. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Bye-bye.